Welcome to Sci-Fi Vault of Tales. Like the video and subscribe to journey further.
Jack Carver snapped awake, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. He lay on a cold, metallic bed, covered only by a thin gray blanket that barely clung to his bare skin. The room around him pulsed with faint blue light, flickering across rusted metal walls. His head throbbed. Memories of the night before scattered like debris in an asteroid field. Where the hell was he? The air smelled of ozone and dust, and a low hum of machinery vibrated through the floor. This wasn't his ship. His ship was gone, wasn't it? A voice, smooth but sharp, cut through the haze. "You're finally awake, huh?" Jack's eyes darted to the corner of the room. A woman stepped into the dim light, her silver skin shimmering like starlight on water. Her long black hair flowed down her back, and her violet eyes locked onto him with a mix of amusement and scrutiny. She wore a sleek, form-fitting sci-fi suit that hugged her frame, glinting faintly under the room's eerie glow. Her name, he'd learned soon enough, was Lyra, a Stellari from some distant corner of the galaxy. Right now, she was the only thing, standing between him and total confusion. "Who are you? And where am I?" Jack's voice came out rough, like he'd gargled sand. He clutched the blanket tighter, suddenly aware of his lack of clothes. Lyra smirked, crossing her arms. "Name's Lyra. You're in my hideout on Clyros 7, a real charming desert dump. You got plastered at Rusty Nebula last night, made a scene, and I dragged you out before some low-life space pirates turned you into scrap." Jack's mind raced, trying to piece together the fragments. Clyros 7, a lawless trading post on the edge of nowhere. He'd been hauling cargo through this sector when his ship's engines fried, forcing a crash landing. After that, it was a blur of neon lights, raucous laughter, and the burn of alien liquor. "My ship," he said, sitting up, wincing as his head spun. "Where is it?" Lyra's smirk faded. "Syndicate's got it. They run this rock, and they don't take kindly to strangers. Your ship's probably in pieces by now, stripped for parts." Jack's stomach dropped. His ship, the Drifter's Hope, was his lifeline, his home. Without it, he was stuck on this dust ball, easy prey for the Syndicate's goons. "Great," he muttered, rubbing his temples. "So I'm screwed." "Not entirely," Lyra said, stepping closer. Her silver skin caught the light, almost glowing. "I can help you get your ship back, maybe even fix it. I'm good with tech, but I need something from you first." Jack raised an eyebrow, wary. "What's the catch? Nobody helps a guy like me out of the goodness of their heart." Lyra's eyes narrowed, her voice dropping low. "I need you to help me steal something from the Syndicate. Something they took from me. It's called the Aether Core." Jack leaned forward, the blanket slipping slightly. "Aether Core? What's that, some fancy battery?" "It's more than that," Lyra said, her tone sharp. "It's a power source. Limitless. Dangerous. I was part of the team that built it on the Aurora Dawn. Then the Syndicate hit us. They killed my crew, left me stranded here. I want it back." Her words hung heavy in the air. Jack caught a flicker of pain in her eyes, a wound deeper than... She led on. He'd seen that look before, in soldiers who'd lost everything. His thoughts drifted to his sister, lost in a war back on Earth, her dream of touching the stars cut short. He pushed the memory away. "Why me?" Jack asked, his voice steady now. "You don't know me. I could be some washed-up spacer with no skills." Lyra tilted her head, a faint smile returning. "I saw you at the bar, Carver. You took on that AI and mind maze and won. Nobody beats that thing, not even the Syndicate's best. You've got guts, maybe brains too. I need both." Jack snorted, but a spark of pride flared in his chest. He'd always had a knack for thinking on his feet, a human trait that had saved his hide more times than he could count. Still, something about Lyra didn't add up. Why trust a stranger with a job this big? "All right," he said, swinging his legs off the bed, keeping the blanket in place. "I'm in, but if you're playing me, Lyra, you'll regret it." She laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a storm. "Fair enough, pilot. Get dressed. We've got work to do." She tossed him a bundle of clothes from a nearby crate, her back turning as she moved to a console glowing with alien symbols. Jack watched her for a moment, his mind racing. The Aether Core sounded like trouble, the kind that could burn a whole galaxy. And Lyra, she was a mystery wrapped in starlight, with secrets she wasn't sharing. As he pulled on the rough spacer's jacket, a question gnawed at him. Why had Lyra picked him, a nobody, for a mission this dangerous? And what was she really after? Jack Carver stepped into the rusty nebula, the air thick with the stench of alien liquor and burnt circuitry. Neon lights buzzed overhead, casting a sickly glow over the crowded bar. Aliens of every shape, scaled, furred, or glowing, huddled at tables, their voices a chaotic hum. Klyros Seven's lawless heart pulsed here, where deals were struck and lives were sold cheap. Jack's borrowed jacket chafed his shoulders, but it beat being bare. Beside him, Lyra moved with a predator's grace, her silver skin catching eyes, as her violet gaze scanned the room. "Keep your head down, Carver," she murmured, brushing past him. "This place eats idiots for breakfast," Jack smirked, adjusting his collar. "Good thing I'm not on the menu." His confidence masked, the unease gnawing at him. The Syndicate owned this rock, and his ship, the Drifter's Hope, was in their clutches. Lyra's plan to steal the Aether Core sounded like a suicide run, but he had no better options. They slid into a corner booth, its cracked surface sticky with spilled drinks. Jack's mind flickered to the night before, a haze of laughter and burning liquor. "So, what exactly did I do here?" he asked, keeping his voice low. "You said I made a scene." Lyra's lips curved into a sly grin. "You took on the mind maze. It's an AI game, rigged to fleece suckers. You beat it, though. Guessed the number pattern like you were reading its code. The crowd went wild, and you walked away with 2 bottles of stellar fire." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Stellar fire? That's why my head feels like a plasma grenade went off?" "Pretty much," Lyra said, her eyes glinting. "That stuff could knock out a droid. You're lucky I got you out before the Syndicate's goons noticed." Jack's pride swelled, but a memory sparked. Flashing lights, a holographic grid, and his gut telling him to trust the numbers. Humans had a knack for spotting patterns, a trick that had saved him in dogfights and dicey deals. Still, Lyra's story didn't explain why she'd risked her neck for him. Before he could press her, a hulking figure loomed over their table. A scar-faced thug with cybernetic arms, his Syndicate tattoo glowing red on his neck, sneered down. "Carver, right? Heard you got lucky last night. Korath don't like show-offs." Jack's pulse quickened. Korath, the Syndicate's cyborg boss, a name whispered like a curse on Klyros 7. "Didn't know I had a fan club," Jack said, his tone cool. "Tell Korath I'm flattered." The thug's hand twitched toward a blaster, but Lyra moved faster. A small device in her palm hummed, and the thug froze, his cyber arm sparking. He cursed, stumbling back, and the bar's noise swallowed the scuffle. "Nice toy," Jack said, impressed. "You make that yourself?" Lyra pocketed the gadget, her expression hard. "Had to, after the Syndicate hit the Aurora Dawn. I was their AI engineer. Hacked their systems once trying to save my crew. Didn't work." Her voice cracked, just for a moment, and Jack saw the weight she carried. He wanted to ask more, but a flicker of movement caught his eye. Across the bar, a cloaked figure watched them, their face hidden in shadow. Jack's instincts screamed, "Trouble." "We got company," he muttered, nodding toward the stranger. Lyra's gaze followed, her jaw tightening. "Keep talking. Act normal." She leaned closer, her voice a whisper. "I heard a rumor. The Aether Core is in Korath's fortress, locked in a vault. We need to get in, grab it, and get out." Jack's gut twisted. "A fortress? You didn't mention we're robbing a damn warlord. You in or out, Carver?" Lyra's violet eyes bored into him, fierce and unyielding. Jack exhaled, his mind racing. The Aether Core was no ordinary tech. Limitless power, she'd said, but dangerous. He thought of his sister, her dream of a better galaxy, and the Syndicate's grip on his ship. "I'm in," he said, his voice steady. "But we do this smart." Lyra nodded, a spark of respect in her gaze. "Then we start tomorrow. I'll get us a map. For now, stay sharp." As she stood, Jack's eyes flicked back to the cloaked figure. They were gone, vanished into the crowd. His skin prickled. Korath's reach was long, and Jack had a sinking feeling the cyborg knew more than Lyra thought. The bar's noise swelled, but Jack's focus narrowed. Lyra's plan was a gamble, and her secrets ran deeper than she let on. Had Korath already marked him as a threat? And what was the Syndicate's boss planning for the stranger who dared to cross him? The red sun of Clyros 7 scorched the horizon, painting the desert in hues of blood and rust. Jack Carver shielded his eyes as he followed Lyra through the chaotic sprawl of the planet's black market. Stalls glowed with neon, hawking everything from plasma rifles to singing cephalopods in jars. Aliens bartered in guttural tongues, their voices mixing with the hum of hover drones. The air carried a gritty tang of sand and oil, clinging to Jack's borrowed jacket. Lyra moved ahead, her silver skin glinting under the harsh light, her sleek sci-fi suit drawing stares from vendors and rogues alike. "Stay close, Carver," she said, her voice low. "This place is a snake pit, and you're fresh meat." Jack grinned, unfazed. "I've haggled with worse. Ever been to a Martian swap meet?" His quip masked the tension coiling in his gut. The Syndicate's shadow loomed over Clyros 7, and their plan to steal the Aether Core felt like poking a hornet's nest. But without his ship, the Drifter's Hope, he was grounded, and Lyra's tech skills were his only shot at getting off this rock. They weaved through the crowd, past a stall where a tentacled merchant waved a glowing orb. "Who buys this junk?" Jack muttered, eyeing a crate of chirping mechanical crabs. "A singing squid? Seriously?" Lyra smirked, not breaking stride. "You'd be surprised. Clyros 7 thrives on weird. Keep moving." Their target was a contact. Lyra knew, a shady dealer with intel on the Syndicate's fortress. They found him at a stall piled with scrapped tech, his 4 eyes blinking under a hooded cloak. "Lyra," he rasped, his voice like gravel. "Didn't expect you back. Who's the human?" "Carver," Jack said, stepping forward. "And we're here for a map. Syndicate's fortress. You got it?" The dealer's eyes narrowed, his claws tapping a dented console. "That's pricey info. Syndicate don't like snoops. What's in it for me?" Lyra pulled a small scanner. From her belt, its screen cracked but functional. "This needs a new power cell. I can fix it, make it sing like new. Deal?" The dealer hesitated, then nodded. Lyra set to work, her fingers dancing over the device with practiced ease. Jack watched, impressed by her focus. Her silver skin seemed to pulse faintly, as if absorbing the stall's dim light. A memory flashed. In his mind, his sister, tinkering with a broken radio back on Earth, her laugh echoing in their cramped apartment. He shook it off, but Lyra's intensity stirred something familiar. As she worked, Jack scanned the market. The crowd was a kaleidoscope of scales, fur, and metal, but something felt off. A glint caught his eye, a tiny drone, no bigger than a fist, hovering above a nearby stall. Its lens swiveled, locking onto them. "Lyra," he whispered, nudging. "Her. We're being watched." She didn't look up, her voice calm. "Don't stare. Could be a scavenger's spy. Or worse, Syndicate. Keep cool." Jack's jaw tightened, his hand itching for a blaster he didn't have. The drone's presence was no coincidence. Korath's reach stretched far, and Jack's stunt at Rusty Nebula had painted a target on his back. Lyra finished handing the scanner to the dealer. It hummed to life, its screen glowing bright. The dealer grunted, satisfied, and slid a data chip across the table. "Fortress map, vaults in the core guarded tight. Don't say I didn't warn you." Lyra pocketed the chip, her expression unreadable. "Thanks, Zick. Stay out of trouble." As they turned to leave, Jack caught Lyra's hand, trembling, just for a moment. He glanced at her, catching a flicker of fear in her violet eyes. "You okay?" he asked, his voice softer than he meant. She pulled her hand away, her tone sharp. "Fine. Just Syndicate tech brings back memories. Bad ones." Jack didn't push. He knew that look, haunted, like soldiers he'd flown with in the Galactic Alliance. Lyra's past with the Aurora Dawn was a wound she wasn't ready to share. But her reaction to the Syndicate made him wonder what else she was hiding about the Aether Core. They slipped back into the crowd, the market's chaos swallowing them. The drone was gone, but Jack's instincts screamed danger. The map was a start, but breaking into Korath's fortress would be a death wish without a plan. And that drone? It wasn't just a scavenger's toy. As the red sun dipped below the horizon, casting Clyros 7 in a crimson haze, Jack's mind churned. Who was tracking them, and what did they want? Jack Carver slumped against the wall of Lyra's hideout, a cramped container buried in Clyros 7's desert outskirts. The air hummed with the buzz of alien tech, consoles and wires sprawling like vines across the metal walls. Lyra stood at a workbench, her silver skin catching the faint glow of a holographic display. Her sleek sci-fi suit shimmered as she tinkered with a small device, her violet eyes focused, unyielding. Jack watched her, his borrowed jacket still stiff against his shoulders. The black market's drone lingered in his mind, a silent warning of eyes in the shadows. "Nice setup," Jack said, breaking the quiet. "You live here long?" Lyra didn't look up, her fingers deftly twisting a circuit. "Long enough. Clyros 7's not home, just a place to survive." Her voice was steady, but Jack caught a trace of bitterness. He stepped closer, eyeing the glowing tools scattered around. "You're Stellari, right? That silver skin, it's not just for show." She glanced at him, a faint smirk tugging her lips. "Good guess, Carver. We absorb light, turn it into energy. Keeps me sharp when others drop." Jack chuckled, leaning against the workbench. "Handy trick. Ever try a human high five?" He raised his hand, palm open, a playful challenge in his grin. Lyra arched an eyebrow, setting the device down. "High five? What's that? Some Earth ritual?" "Damn right," Jack said. "Just slap my hand. Trust me, it's a vibe." She hesitated, then smacked his palm, her touch surprisingly warm. But her aim was off, hitting his fingers awkwardly. Jack laughed, the sound echoing in the tight space. "Close enough. We'll work on it." Lyra's smirk softened, a rare crack in her guarded facade. For a moment, the weight of their mission lifted. But Jack's thoughts drifted to his sister, her laughter during late-night card games on Earth. She dreamed of the stars, a dream cut short by war. Lyra's pain, hinted at in the market, felt too familiar. "You got a scar," he said, nodding to her shoulder, where a faint shimmer marked her silver skin. "Syndicate's work?" Her expression hardened, her fingers brushing the scar. "Yeah, from the Aurora Dawn. Tried to save my crew when Korath hit us. Lost everyone." Her voice dropped, heavy with guilt. "The Aether Core was ours. I won't let them keep it." Jack nodded, his chest tightening. "I get it. Lost someone too. My sister. War took her. Makes you fight harder, doesn't it?" Lyra met his gaze, her violet eyes searching. "It does, but it's not just revenge, Carver. The Core's dangerous. More than I've told you." Before he could ask more, she turned back to the workbench, pulling out a sleek pulse glove. "For you," she said, tossing it to him. "Disrupts. Tech. We'll need it in the fortress." Jack caught the glove, its weight solid in his hand. But his eyes lingered on Lyra. She checked a signal from the Aether Core earlier, her face unreadable. What wasn't she saying? As she resumed her work, the hideout's hum filled the air. Jack's mind churned. The core was more than a power source, and Lyra's secrets could burn them both. What was that signal, and why did she hide it? Jack Carver crouched in the shadowed mouth of a service tunnel, the air thick with the tang of rust and desert dust. Clyros 7's red sands swirled outside, a faint howl echoing through the metal walls. Lyra knelt beside him, her silver skin faintly glowing under the dim light of her wrist scanner. Her violet eyes flicked across the device's screen, fingers tapping a rapid rhythm. The Syndicate's fortress loomed above, a floating monolith of steel and menace, its vault holding the Aether Core. Jack's pulse glove hummed softly on his hand, a reassuring weight. This was their first move, and it felt like stepping into a lion's den. "Security's tight," Lyra whispered, her voice steady. "Cameras, drones, and motion sensors. I can hack the first layer, but we gotta move fast." Jack nodded, his jaw tight. Just get us in. I'll handle any surprises." His gut churned, the memory of the market's drone still fresh. Someone was watching them, and he doubted it was just scavengers. Lyra's scanner beeped, and a faint click echoed from the tunnel's sealed hatch. "Got it," she said, pushing the hatch open. A gust of stale air hit them, carrying the hum of distant machinery. They slipped inside, the tunnel narrowing as they crawled through a maze of pipes and cables. Jack's knees scraped the cold metal, his breath shallow. Every sound felt like a Syndicate trap waiting to spring. Halfway through, Lyra's scanner flickered. "Hold up," she muttered, tapping the screen. "Signal's glitching. Something's jamming us." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Syndicate? Maybe," Lyra said, her tone clipped. "Or the Core's interfering. It's unpredictable." Jack didn't like the sound of that. Lyra's secrets about the Aether Core were piling up, and her vague answers weren't helping. But before he could press her, a faint whir buzzed ahead. A drone, fist-sized and sleek, hovered in the tunnel, its red lens locking onto them. "Down!" Jack hissed, shoving Lyra flat. The drone's laser scanned the air, inches above their heads. His heart pounded, but his mind raced. He'd faced worse in the Galactic Alliance: pirate ambushes, asteroid chases. Humans had a knack for improvisation. He reached into his jacket, pulling out the cheap flash lamp he'd snagged at the black market. "Cover your eyes," he whispered. Lyra shot him a confused look, but complied. Jack flicked the lamp on, aiming its blinding beam at the drone. The device sparked, its lens overloading, and it crashed to the floor in a shower of static. Lyra stared, her mouth slightly open. "What the hell, Carver? You fried it with a toy?" Jack grinned, pocketing the lamp. "Human trick. Sometimes low-tech beats high-tech. You're welcome." She shook her head, a mix of disbelief and admiration in her violet eyes. "Only a human would pull that off. Let's move before more show up." They crawled on, the tunnel opening into a maintenance bay cluttered with crates and flickering consoles. Lyra hacked a control panel, disabling the next set of sensors. But Jack's instincts screamed trouble. He scanned the room, spotting a sealed door marked with Syndicate insignia. "That the way to the vault?" Lyra nodded, her scanner humming. "Yeah, but it's guarded. We need—" A sharp clank cut her off. The door slid open, revealing a figure slumped against the wall. A feathered alien, his wings tattered, chains binding his wrists. His yellow eyes widened at the sight of them. "Help," he rasped, his voice weak. "Please, they'll kill me." Jack's gut twisted. "Who's this?" he asked Lyra, keeping his voice low. She crouched beside the alien, her expression grim. "A prisoner. Syndicate's got dozens locked up for labor or worse." She glanced at the alien, her voice softening. "What's your name?" "Leon," he whispered, his feathers trembling. "They caught me scavenging. I know the fortress. I can help you." Jack exchanged a look with Lyra. Trusting a stranger was risky, but Leon's desperation felt real. "He could slow us down," Jack said, his tone cautious. "He might know shortcuts," Lyra countered. "We can't leave him." Jack sighed, his alliance training kicking in. No one left behind, not if he could help it. "Fine, cut him loose." Lyra used her scanner to fry the chains, and Leon staggered to his feet, gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you," he said, his voice stronger. "The vault's 2 levels up, but there's a patrol route." A loud beep interrupted him. Lyra's scanner flashed red, and her face paled. "Damn it," she hissed. "I tripped a backup alarm. Patrol's coming." Jack's pulse spiked. He gripped the pulse glove, its hum steadying his nerves. "How many?" "4, maybe 5, Lyra said, pulling a small blaster from her belt. "We can take them, but it'll get messy." Jack glanced at Leon, then at the door they'd come through. The tunnel was too tight for a quick retreat. "No choice," he said, his voice firm. "We fight." Lyra nodded, her eyes fierce. "Leon, stay behind us. Carver, hit hard." As footsteps echoed closer, Jack's mind raced. The Aether Core was close, but Lyra's words about its danger gnawed at him. She'd said it held data for an ancient weapon, something that could torch entire systems. Why hadn't she told him sooner? The door hissed open, and Syndicate boots hit the floor. Jack braced himself, the pulse glove crackling. But a question burned hotter than the fight ahead. Could they save Leon before the Syndicate closed in? And what else was Lyra hiding about the Core's true power? Jack Carver pressed his back against a cold metal wall, the pulse glove humming on his hand. The Syndicate's fortress buzzed with danger, its sleek corridors lit by harsh white light. Lyra crouched beside him, her silver skin reflecting the glow, her violet eyes locked on her scanner. They'd slipped past laser traps, their movements a dance of precision, Jack timing the beams, Lyra hacking the AI controls. Now, they stood steps from the vault, holding the Aether Core, its promise of limitless power pulling them closer. Leon, the feathered alien, huddled behind, his wings trembling, but his eyes sharp with hope. Vaults through that door, Lyra whispered, her voice steady. One more hack, and we're in. Jack nodded, his heart pounding. Make it quick. This place gives me the creeps. The fortress felt alive, its walls hiding eyes and traps. The Syndicate's grip was iron, and Korath, their cyborg boss, wasn't far. Lyra's scanner beeped, and the vault door hissed open, revealing a chamber bathed in blue light. At its center, the Aether Core hovered, a glowing orb pulsing like a heartbeat. Its light danced across Lyra's skin, making her look like a star come to life. Jack's breath caught, not just at the core's beauty, but at the danger it screamed. "Move," Lyra said, stepping forward. But before they could, "Reach it!" A cold voice cut through the air. "Going somewhere?" Jack spun, his pulse glove raised. Korath stood in the doorway, his cyborg frame gleaming, red eyes burning like twin lasers. His mechanical arm whirred, a blaster built into its core. He was taller than Jack expected, a monster of steel and malice, his reflexes twice as fast as any humans. Leon shrank back, and Lyra froze, her hand hovering over her blaster. "Korath," Lyra spat, her voice laced with venom. "Should have known you'd crawl out of your hole." The cyborg's lips twisted into a smirk. "Lyra, my old partner, you helped build this core, didn't you? Then you betrayed us. Thought you could steal it back." Jack's blood ran cold. "Partner?" Lyra hadn't mentioned that. Her face hardened, but she didn't deny it. "You killed my crew," she said, her voice low. "The core's mine." Korath laughed, a grating sound. "It's Syndicate property now. And you, human," he said, his red eyes locking onto Jack, "you're a pest. That stunt at Rusty Nebula? Bold. Stupid." Jack's grip tightened on the glove. "Glad I got your attention," he said, his tone defiant. "How about a rematch?" Korath's blaster arm rose, but Jack was faster. He lunged, aiming the pulse glove at the cyborg's chest. A burst of energy crackled, sparking across Korath's frame, but the cyborg barely flinched, his enhanced systems shrugging off the hit. Jack dodged a return blast, the heat singeing his jacket as he rolled behind a console. "Lyra, now!" Jack shouted, buying her time. She darted to the core, her scanner humming as she hacked its containment field. "Keep him busy!" she yelled, her fingers flying over the device. Jack's mind raced, his alliance training kicking in. Korath was a tank, but every machine had a weak spot. He grabbed a loose cable from the floor, yanking it free, and hurled it at Korath's legs. The cyborg stumbled, his blaster firing wide, scorching the wall. Jack dove forward, slamming the pulse glove into Korath's arm joint. Sparks flew, and the blaster sputtered, momentarily disabled. "Nice try, human," Korath growled, his free hand swinging. The blow caught Jack's shoulder, sending him crashing into a crate. Pain flared, but Jack gritted his teeth, scrambling to his feet. "Got it," Lyra called, the core's field flickering out. She reached for the orb, its light pulsing brighter, but Korath's eyes flashed, and a hidden panel in the wall slid open. 4 Syndicate guards stormed in, blasters raised. "Leon down!" Jack yelled, shoving the alien behind a console. Lyra grabbed the core, clutching it tight, but the guards closed in, their weapons trained. Jack's heart pounded, his eyes darting between Korath and the guards. Lyra's past with the cyborg changed everything. She'd been one of them, and she'd kept it from him. Trust was crumbling, but they had to get out alive. As Korath advanced, his red eyes gleaming, Jack braced for the fight. Could Lyra disable the Core's defenses before Korath crushed them, or was this their last stand? Jack Carver dove behind a console, blaster fire scorching the air above him. The Syndicate's vault chamber crackled with chaos, the Aether Core's blue glow pulsing like a trapped star in Lyra's hands. Her silver skin shimmered as she crouched, her scanner humming to override the Core's defenses. Korath, the cyborg warlord, loomed across the room, his red eyes locked on her, his damaged blaster arm sparking but still deadly. 4 Syndicate guards fanned out, their weapons trained on Jack and Leon, the feathered alien trembling beside him. The fortress's walls seemed to close in, every second tightening the noose. "Lyra, hurry!" Jack shouted, his pulse glove crackling. He fired a burst at a guard, the energy disrupting the man's blaster, sending him staggering. "I'm trying!" Lyra snapped, her violet eyes fierce. "This core's locked tighter than a black hole." Korath's mechanical laugh grated through the chaos. "You can't run, Lyra. The core's ours and you're out of time." His arm whirred, a hidden blade snapping out, glinting under the vault's light. Jack's mind raced. His alliance, training screaming for a way out. The guards were closing in, and Korath was a walking tank. He glanced at Leon, whose yellow eyes darted toward a vent in the wall. "That lead anywhere," Jack whispered. Leon nodded, his voice shaky. "Ventilation system. Tight, but it goes to the shuttle bay." Jack's jaw tightened. A chance, but slim. "Lyra, we gotta move! Vent now!" She clutched the core, nodding sharply. "Cover me!" Jack stood, firing another pulse burst, scattering the guards. Lyra sprinted for the vent, Leon scrambling behind her. But Korath charged, his blade slicing the air. Jack dove, tackling Lyra out of the way, the core nearly slipping from her grasp. Pain flared in his side where Korath's blade grazed him, but he gritted his teeth, shoving Lyra toward the vent. "Go!" he barked, turning to face the cyborg. Leon hesitated, his wings twitching. "I can help," he said, his voice steadier now. Jack shook his head. "Get Lyra out. I'll hold them." But Leon's eyes hardened, a spark of defiance in them. "No, you saved me. My turn." Before Jack could argue, Leon darted out, his wings flaring as he grabbed a fallen blaster. He fired wildly, drawing the guards' attention, his feathers catching the vault's light like a fleeting comet. "Leon, no!" Jack yelled. But it was too late. A guard's blaster roared, and Leon crumpled, a red stain spreading across his chest. His yellow eyes met Jack's, a faint smile flickering before they dimmed. Lyra's scream cut through Jack's shock. "Jack, move!" She'd pried the vent open, the core tucked under her arm. Korath roared, his blade swinging, but Jack was already running. He dove into the vent, Lyra pulling him through as blaster fire scorched the wall behind them. The narrow shaft was suffocating, metal scraping their skin as they crawled, the core's glow lighting their path. Jack's chest burned, not just from the graze but from Leon's sacrifice. They paused in a wider section, gasping for breath. Lyra's face was pale, her silver skin streaked with grime. "Leon," she whispered, her voice breaking. Jack clenched, his fists, his sister's face flashing in his mind. "He bought us time. We don't waste it." His voice was rough, but he met Lyra's gaze. "You were with Korath. Why didn't you tell me?" She flinched, clutching the core tighter. "I was a tech, not a killer. I built the core for Aurora Dawn, but Korath twisted it. He burned my crew, Jack. I thought you wouldn't trust me." Jack's anger softened, her pain too raw to fake. "I lost my sister in a war," he said, his voice low. "She wanted a better galaxy. That's why I'm here. You remind me there's still hope." Lyra's eyes softened, and she reached for him, their lips brushing in a fleeting, desperate kiss. "We'll make this right," she whispered. A distant clang snapped them back. "Korath's not done," Jack said, gripping his glove. "Shuttle. Bay's close. We get out, or we die trying." As they crawled on, the core's glow flickered, its power unstable. Jack's mind churned. Leon's death was a wound, but Korath's pursuit was a fire at their heels. Could they reach the shuttle before the Syndicate caught them? Or was Leon's sacrifice in vain? Jack Carver gripped the controls of the stolen shuttle, his knuckles white as Lyra 7's red desert blurred beneath them. The cockpit vibrated, alarms blaring as Syndicate missiles streaked through the night sky, their trails glowing like angry comets. Lyra sat beside him, her silver skin streaked with grime, the Aether Core clutched in her lap. Its blue glow pulsed erratically, casting eerie shadows across her face. Her violet eyes darted between the core and the scanner, her fingers flying over the controls. The shuttle bay escape had been a blur of blaster fire and desperation, Leon's sacrifice still burning in Jack's chest. "Shields at 20%, Lyra shouted, her voice tight. "We can't take another hit." "Working on it," Jack growled, yanking the stick. The shuttle banked hard, dodging a missile that exploded in a fireball behind them. His Alliance pilot instincts kicked in, every nerve alive. He'd flown through worse, pirate blockades, asteroid storms, but never with a galaxy-ending orb in the back seat. A Syndicate cruiser loomed on the scanner, its guns tracking them. Jack's eyes flicked to the terrain, spotting a jagged canyon ahead. "Hold on," he said, diving the shuttle into the narrow gorge. Rock walls flashed by, inches from the hull, the cruiser's missiles slamming into the cliffs above. Debris rained down, pinging off the shields. Lyra braced herself, her voice sharp. "You're gonna crash us, Carver." "Nah," Jack said, a grim smirk tugging his lips. "This is just my style." He twisted the shuttle through a tight turn, the engines screaming. The cruiser couldn't follow, its bulk too massive for the canyon's twists, but the Aether Core's glow flickered, a low hum rising from it. Lyra's scanner beeped frantically. "It's overloading," she said, her face pale. "If it blows, we're done." Jack's gut twisted. "Can you stabilize it?" "I'm trying." Lyra's hands glowed faintly, her Stellari ability channeling light into the core's casing. The hum steadied, but sweat beaded on her brow. "It's fighting me! This thing's more than tech, it's alive!" Jack's jaw clenched. Lyra's secrets about the core kept piling up, but there was no time to argue. Another missile locked on, and he pulled the shuttle into a steep climb, breaking free of the canyon. The desert stretched below, Lyra 7 stars glittering like scattered jewels. The cruiser was back, closing fast. "Lyra, any tricks up your sleeve?" Jack asked, his voice strained. Her eyes lit up, a spark of defiance. "Maybe one." She closed her eyes, her silver skin flaring bright, a burst of Stellari light erupting from her body. The shuttle's sensors screamed, overloaded by the glare, and the cruiser's targeting systems faltered, its missiles veering off course. Jack whistled, impressed. "Damn, that's new. You're full of surprises." "Don't get cocky," Lyra said, her voice shaky from the effort. "It bought us a second, not a win." Jack scanned the horizon, spotting a faint gravity anomaly on the scanner, a rogue field from Lyra 7's unstable core. "Got an idea," he said, steering toward it. "Brace yourself." He pushed the throttle, luring the cruiser closer. The gravity field tugged at the shuttle, its frame groaning, but Jack held steady. At the last second, he rolled the shuttle. Clear, the cruiser too slow to react. The field snared Korath's ship, dragging it into a spiral. Sparks flew as its hull crumpled, a fiery crash lighting the desert below. "Hell yeah!" Jack whooped, adrenaline pumping. But the shuttle's engines sputtered, a warning light flashing. "Spoke too soon," he muttered, scanning for a landing spot. His ship, the Drifter's Hope, was stashed nearby, their only shot at getting off this rock. Lyra's scanner chirped and her face tightened. "The core's emitting a signal," she said, her voice low. "It's old. Stellari code, maybe." Jack's eyes narrowed. "You didn't mention that before." "I didn't." "No," Lyra snapped, her grip tightening on the core. "It's not just power, Jack. It's a key to something bigger." The shuttle shuddered, touching down hard near the Drifter's Hope. Sand swirled around them, the stars above cold and unyielding. Jack's mind raced. Leon's death, Korath's defeat, and now this signal. Nothing added up. Lyra's half-truths were a ticking bomb, and the core's secrets could burn them all. As they stepped into the desert, the core's signal pulsed stronger. What was it calling to? And could they reach Jack's ship before the Syndicate's remnants found them? Jack Carver stood in the shadow of the Drifter's Hope, its battered hull half buried in Clyros 7's red sands. The desert's crimson sunset painted the sky, a fleeting calm after their desperate escape. Lyra worked nearby, her silver skin glowing faintly as she wired the Aether Core into the ship's engine bay. Her violet eyes focused on the glowing orb, its pulsing light casting eerie patterns across the salvaged prisoners from the Syndicate's fortress. They moved with purpose, hauling tools and patching hull breaches, their voices a low murmur of hope. Leon's sacrifice hung heavy, a silent vow to make it count. "Core's almost integrated," Lyra called, her voice steady but strained. "It'll power the ship, but it's unstable." Jack nodded, wiping sweat from his brow. "Just don't blow us up, all right?" His tone was light, but his gut churned. The Core's signal, that ancient Stellari code, gnawed at him. Lyra's secrets were a minefield, and trust was a luxury they couldn't afford. He joined a prisoner, a wiry alien with glowing tattoos, tightening a hull panel. "What's your story?" Jack asked, keeping his hands busy. "Name's Teak," the alien said, his voice raspy. "Syndicate nabbed me for smuggling. Leon saved my hide once, distracted a guard. Owe him everything." Jack's chest tightened, his sister's face flashing in his mind. "Yeah," he said, his voice low. "He was a good one." Lyra approached, wiping grime from her hands. Her sleek sci-fi suit was scuffed, but her silver skin still caught the fading light. "Engines are ready," she said, glancing at Jack. "We can hit orbit soon. Emerald Nebula's our best shot for safety." Jack raised an eyebrow. "You sure? That core's a hot potato. Won't they ask questions?" Her jaw tightened, a flicker of doubt in her eyes. "Maybe, but we can't stay here. Syndicate's got eyes everywhere." Jack studied her, sensing the weight she carried. The core wasn't just tech. It was a key to something ancient, something dangerous. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Back in the hideout, you said you're scared of failing again. What's riding on this, Lyra?" She met his gaze, her violet eyes raw. "I lost my crew on Aurora Dawn. My fault. I built the core, thought it'd change the galaxy. Instead, it got them killed. I can't let it happen again." Jack's anger softened. He knew that guilt, the kind that ate you alive. "My sister wanted to fly," he said, his voice rough. "See the stars, make a difference. War took her. I fly for her now. You're not alone in this." Lyra's lips curved, a faint smile breaking through. She reached into her pocket, pulling out a small Stellari crystal, its facets glowing like a trapped star. "Take this," she said, pressing it into his hand. "It's a piece of my home. Means I trust you, Carver." Jack's fingers closed around the crystal, its warmth surprising. "If this is your way of flirting, I'll top it with an earth move later," he said, winking. She laughed, a soft sound that cut through the desert's chill. "Deal, pilot," a prisoner called out, pointing to Lyra's scanner. "That thing's blinking again." Lyra's smile faded as she checked the device. The core's signal pulsed, its Stellari code forming a map, a single coordinate in deep space. "This is new," she muttered, her voice tense. "It's pointing to something." "A ship, maybe?" Jack's eyes narrowed. "What kind? Syndicate?" "No," Lyra said, her brow furrowing. "Older. Stellari. Ancient. Could be tied to the core's weapon data." Jack's pulse quickened. The core wasn't just a power source. It was a Pandora's box, and they'd barely cracked it open. He glanced at the Drifter's Hope, its engines humming, ready to fly. The prisoners worked faster now, their hope a fragile shield against the unknown. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Clyros 7's stars emerged, cold and distant. Jack's mind raced. The coordinate was a beacon, but to what? A weapon that could end worlds or something worse? And could they trust Lyra's plan to reach Emerald Nebula with a core that screamed danger? Jack Carver settled into the pilot's seat of the Drifter's Hope, the familiar hum of its engines vibrating through the cockpit. Clyros 7's red desert shrank below as the ship climbed, stars piercing the darkening sky like 1,000 promises. Lyra sat beside him, her silver skin reflecting the console's glow. the Aether Core secured in a cradle between them. Its blue pulse steadied, but the Stellari signal it emitted, a map to an ancient ship, hung heavy in the air. The rescued prisoners crowded the cargo bay, their murmurs a mix of relief and fear. Leon's sacrifice fueled their resolve, but the unknown loomed larger than ever. "Orbit in 30 seconds, Jack said, his hands steady on the controls. "Engines holding thanks to that core. You sure it won't fry us?" Lyra's violet eyes flicked to the orb, her expression tense. "It's stable for now, but it's more than power, Jack. That signal's old, maybe older than my people." Jack's jaw tightened. "And it's pointing to a ship with weapon data that could torch a galaxy. You ready for what we might find?" She met his gaze, her voice low. "Emerald Nebula's our first stop. It's safe, neutral. But if they see this core, they'll ask questions. Can we trust them with something this dangerous?" Jack snorted, adjusting the throttle. "Trust? Out here? That's a big ask, Lyra." His alliance days taught him trust was earned, not given. Yet Lyra's Stellari crystal, warm in his pocket, felt like a bridge between them. The ship broke orbit, Klyros 7, a fading red speck against the void. Stars stretched into infinity, a canvas Jack's sister had dreamed of painting. He glanced at Lyra, her face softened by the starlight streaming through the viewport. "You ever think about quitting?" he asked. "Leaving all this Syndicate core danger behind?" She laughed, a soft, bitter sound. "Every day. But I built the core. It's my mess to clean. What about you, pilot? Why keep flying?" Jack's grip tightened on the controls. "For her. My sister. She'd say the stars are worth fighting for. You make me think she was right." Lyra's hand brushed his, a fleeting warmth. "We'll fight together then," she said, her voice firm. "Whatever's out there, we face it." A beep from the console snapped their focus. The core's signal pulsed stronger, its Stellari code refining the map. Coordinates locked onto a point in deep space, far beyond Emerald Nebula. "That's no trade route," Jack muttered, studying the screen. "What's out there, Lyra?" Her brow furrowed, her scanner humming. "An archaeological ship, maybe. Stellari. Ancient. The core's data mentions a weapon, something that could rewrite stars. If it's real, we can't let it fall into the wrong hands." Jack's pulse quickened. The core wasn't just a power source, it was a key to a cosmic Pandora's box. Korath's Syndicate had wanted it, and others might too. He leaned back, the Stellari crystal glinting on his neck where he'd strung it. "We're flying blind," he said, "but I've had worse odds." Lyra's lips curved, a spark of defiance in her eyes. "You're crazy, Carver, but I'm glad you're here." The drifter's hope soared into the void, its engines roaring with the core's power. The prisoners in the bay shared stories of their homes, their voices a fragile thread of hope. Jack's mind churned. The ancient ship was a beacon, but what waited there? A weapon to end worlds, or a truth that could change everything? As the stars blurred into hyperspace, Jack's hand rested near Lyra's. The core's glow lit their path, but its secrets cast long shadows. The galaxy was vast, and their journey had just begun. What lay at those coordinates, and what threats would rise to claim the Aether Core's power?